Grand Theft Auto 3 will be 15 years old next year. And we're sure that the explosions, the car chases, and crime-filled nights spent in Liberty City is something that people will remember fondly. Grand Theft Auto 3, and indeed the entire series, has had its critics and fans, and both for valid reasons. Some seeing it as a masterpiece, others as a terrible influence on the young game players today. However, we feel that Grand Theft Auto 3 has an importance in terms of game design, as it was influential in many ways in terms of its open world setting, its combination of genres, its cast, and its ability to allow the player to have his or her own unique experience while playing the game. The setting and the intertwining stories which lay around Liberty City helped to change the games industry forever.
Of course, there were open-world games before Grand Theft Auto 3. Early examples go back to the 1980s, such as The Legend of Zelda on Nintendo and Hunter, released in 1991. However, Grand Theft Auto 3 brought this concept to a level which had not been reached before, and with sales of over 200 million, it popularized the notion of an open-world game or a sandbox game. You can see traces of Grand Theft Auto 3 in many later video games such as The Streets of Rome and Assassin's Creed Revelations, and the zany playground of Saints Row the Third. The Grand Theft Auto DNA runs throughout many of today's biggest franchises.
Many critics saw this simply as a game featuring guns, sex, prostitution, crime and drugs, and of course that is true. However, there was a huge element of satire in GTA 3, which set out to ridicule the concept of the American dream. Liberty City was a metaphor for the state of America, in terms of the seedy underbelly of the criminal lifestyle. Few games had used satire on this scale. Where some saw funny, crude jokes, others saw a commentary on the way of the American life. For a game that has been often demonized as a bad influence, it is incredibly intelligent in this area.
Importantly, GTA had a unique cast and its sheer quality contributed to the enjoyment of the game. Each named role was voiced and recognised with incredible detail regardless of how much screen time they were given. Actors of quality were brought in such as Michael Madsen of later Kill Bill and Sin City, Frank Vincent of Raging Bull, Goodfellas and The Sopranos, and Joe Pantoliano of The Matrix and The Fugitive. The high-quality voice acting gave each character an identity along with a personal agenda in their scripts. These agendas of each character gave the idea that this was a city which was alive and that you were merely a bit player in the bigger picture. There's been a knock-on effect of celebrities and actors featuring games as a result of this.
Another area in which Grand Theft Auto 3 succeeded in adding realism was with the soundtrack. By separating its soundtrack into radio stations, Grand Theft Auto 3 not only added in a greater sense of atmosphere, but also separated itself from the rest of the gaming pack with a newfound level of realism. Many video games up to that point had focused mainly on offering soundtracks like films, with music highlighting dynamic themes and action. Grand Theft Auto 3 opted to go the route of emulating real life. You hop in your car and turn on the radio, switch the station to something you'd want to listen to, or turn it off. In terms of genre, GTA 3 featured driving sections, run-and-gun battles, exploration, remote-control car missions, and many more. These separate elements worked seamlessly together, which gave GTA 3 its own genre. Few studios had the means to integrate genres before into one package. There were no loading times between these components, which contributed to the seamless feel to the game. The player had the ability to experience a flow between these components. A player could go from running down the street to shooting at other criminals, hopping in a car resulting in a chase, perform some stunt jump and bail out while experiencing a consistent level of quality throughout.
In conclusion, Grand Theft Auto has been hugely influential in the games industry, a game full of pivotal, inspired moments which have brought about many new ideas and mechanics to the table. Despite its critics, game developers have been inspired by what Rockstar's come up with, an industry-defining experience that's often overshadowed by its puerile, violent exterior.